We'll be talking to you about VT Halter Marine. It is a subsidiary of VT Halter Systems. It is a ship design and shipbuilding, as well as ship repairing company based out in Louisiana. They have many contracts, most of which are dealing with commercial and governmental logistical designs. And so today we will be speaking to you about the situation analysis, the market segmentation, the customer, the competition. We'll give you a SWOT analysis, as well as the tactics and strategies, and then an advertising promotion, and the research and evaluation which this company is going to take in the future. Again, VT Halter Marine is a subsidiary of VT Halter Systems. They have been building on their experience from one project to the next over 60 years. Since then, they have covered from commercial vessels to governmental and logistical.
And it's not exclusively domestic either. They provide their services to pretty much every country in the world, and they have the experience of building over 2,600 ships. So when someone chooses to go with VT Halter, ultimately they're being provided with that added engineering knowledge base that many other new companies or not as seasoned companies are able to provide. Some of the products and services that they are providing right now are primarily focused around Jones Act vessels, since they primarily build the small to medium vessels out of the United States. They seem to find a large portion of their customer base here in the United States, although these vessels go on to be used around the world for various reasons, not just exclusively domestic. They have an extensive engineering department that's capable of taking on pretty much every task, so they don't really have to outsource. A lot of companies that produce ATVs aren't exclusively the sole makers of them. They might take care of one aspect of it, whereas VT Halter Marine can provide the total package and not leave customers having to seek out additional companies to help with the production of the final product.
So it's a one-stop shop.
So ATVs, which we'll be focusing primarily as their main construction design, is a more advanced, efficient version of a tug and barge system. It's not a pull from behind system, it's a push, and it's a integrated notch. As you can see, these tugboats, they fit right into the barge itself. It gives it more stability, as well as more stability, as well as more maneuverability. It acts as one rather than two. Yes.
Don't the captains and mates on the ATVs? I heard they only need limited licenses. I heard they need limited licenses, limited with a deep sea, which is limited with Cellnet license.
Yeah, right now I actually just read an article yesterday. I haven't focused too much on that, but I do believe that they're changing the rules, the regulations right now. So right now it's just a limited tonnage for a tugboat and a barge, but these barges are getting bigger and bigger, and so and they're considered, since they link into the notch and they act as one. It's these tugboats. Sorry?
Gross tonnage is increased?
Yeah, the gross tonnage is increased, and the handling is not the same as if you were just working with one tug on the side or pulling from behind. So they're making new regulations, I believe, in the future for what ATV captains and crews must be required to have assessments and whatnot for these specific vessels.
So is that potentially a threat?
Yeah.
Meaning that there could be increased costs because you have to have a more qualified crew, higher qualified crew, and potentially if you've got a unionized tugboat force and now suddenly you're saying, well, you can't drive this.
I think it also points out one of the strengths, a reason a lot of legislation is pending, surrounding the use of companies having articulated tug barges is not because of what it is, but what it can be. It's still growing in the industry. There's almost unlimited opportunities for new development to address certain sectors of the shipping industry or transportation industry. You can do a lot with these, and some companies are already starting to do that, but I think that's only going to become more prominent, and they're definitely going to have to, institute policies to manage these new types of vessels.
So within these ATVs, we have a more advanced to-date system, which is the intercon coupler system. Most designs today are being incorporated with this new system. As you can see in the top left photo, the notch where the tugboat will enter, there's a rail on each side of the notch where the tugboat will have a hydraulic ram that comes out of the port and starboard side of the boat. As you can see on the top right photo, it is rigid, and so it will go in and lock in place, and then it is not only locked as one now with the ship, but it is advantage because in heavy seas it will pitch separately, independently from the vessel, allowing less stress. It will roll together, and then also another advantage is they can pull this. The bottom picture is a transition phase of the ram being pulled out a little bit and rotated, so when you are discharging a cargo or loading a cargo, the barge can either lighter or load without the barge detaching completely, so it is still secure. And yeah, that's the new system in the past 5 years that's being incorporated into most ATV designs.
And did VT Halter develop that system?
No, that's Intercon.
Oh, okay. So that's a competitor.
But it does just
Okay.
go to show that VT Halter is capable of providing the demands of the current market for ATVs, not only with intercon coupler systems, but the specific needs of offshore shipping vessels for oil and stuff that require specific ventilation systems and linings that other tugs might not require. Other companies don't really have the capability to engineer those complicated systems that specific companies require.
So VT Halter Marine's mission statement is committed people working together to become the global leader in building and maintaining world-class marine and design engineering that provides a competitive advantage to our customers. We're kind of floating around the idea of maybe moving this slide into the back, as we have our notes still on there.
Well, I think it's, in this case, it's okay to have it as, because it's the background on the company and what that whole category is all about. So I think it's okay.
So it's an international business. It's not limited to operating within the United States. They've produced vessels for almost every major military, as well as our own. They continue to do so. They produce research vessels as well as shipping vessels, but again, their focus is Jones Act compliant shipping vessels that meet the specifications of the U.S. Coast Guard. But they also have the capability of meeting other government-specific requirements for development of vessels, so it broadens their customer base. which will certainly work to their advantage within the ATV production market. The current ATV market, there has been an increase in demand just because it suits the needs of different kinds of companies. It can provide offshore services as well as shipping services. And as other companies out there are beginning to need to replace some of their older vessels, they're finding that this is the more economic choice. So it's safe to prospect that in the near future, you're going to see a large increase in the production and sales of ATVs. So it's a wise idea to get a foothold on the market while all that white space is available, and you can pretty much move into any segment that you want to. And having the engineering capabilities that VT Halter does, they can promote ideas that will address the specific needs of companies, other than predominantly the ones they've produced to date are all for crude oil or gasoline shipping, but it's certainly not limited to that. Some of the competition that's presented itself is not based around other companies that have the capability of building ATVs, but some companies that provide engineering services that have a lot of history in the ATV community. As far as research and development goes, some of the companies out there right now that really help bring the concept of ATV together. They don't really build them, but they have the knowledge base that spans back to the inception of this vessel itself.
Okay, can you just go back one slide for a second? One more. No, back. Or maybe two more. It was where we were talking about the macro environment. When you say 29 different countries spanning 5 continents, that's where VT Halter operates?
No, that's the countries in which they've had contracts with. So they've delivered ships to
those.
20,
Okay.
Yeah, 20.
Okay. So my point here is that the macro environment is really what are the global trends that are impacting the company, the category, or your product. This really belongs more as background as to who VT Halter is. We're a vertically oriented company. We provide, design, engineering, and construction in the ATV market as well as other shipping categories. We operate our ATV, yada yada yada. But that's not really micro environment. It's really background.
Okay.
The next slide you had, or maybe it was the next one. I'm sorry. This is really a little more the macro environment. What's happening with the ATV market globally?
Okay.
How is it expanding? How is it growing, et cetera?
So macro and competition, should those kind of be grouped in?
Well, macro is the things that affect everybody.
Okay.
It affects your competition, it affects you. And maybe it doesn't affect you equally. But macro environment is what stuff is happening in the world that's going to either positively or negatively impact my business. So, there's increasing acceptance of ATB. Newer designs are eliminating some of the older problematic issues with the couplings, and so it's being seen as more reliable. Blah 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 blah. There's more coastal shipping on shorter trade routes where ATBs tend to be more efficient and more in use. That kind of stuff. Well, okay, you're doing a nice job overall. Keep going.
So some of the targeted customers obviously have been customer shipping and logistical support. For VT Halter, it has specifically been in shipping of oil and crude oils and gasoline. It definitely provides or points out that we need to kind of expand our horizons and sales potentials to other sectors of the industry. And which brings to light some of the competition. Right now, Signal is an older company, but recently they developed the perception that ATVs kind of fit their company and their production capacity, and it's something that they really want to start getting into. And they're working on 2 contracts with Kirby Kirby tugs right now, which is a huge part of the industry. Now, if they're
We're gonna have a Kirby executive here next week.
so if they're already getting a foothold on that sector of the market, it can only take a matter of a year or two for Kirby to say, like, we need 10, 15 tugs, which has happened to VT Halter in the past with other companies. So we need to start broadening options for customers to see us as potential options for building their ships. Another thing, Signal has taken on a contract for the first articulated tug barge dredge, which just shows you that it has an increased capability outside of shipping, and they're developing new technology to support the shipping industry via ATB platforms. So Signal's the only one doing that right now. VT Halter isn't, so it's definitely something that we need to focus more on. And Ocean Tug and Barge, they're a strong competitor on the engineering side. They use CT Marine and other engineering contractors to build them. But again, this is one of the companies that has the most history around the ATB production. A lot of the first designs actually came from them, and they've to date conducted the most research on the full potential of developing ATBs. So they actually have plans that would surpass the size of any ATB right now. They could build those for any customer who wants it at any given moment.
Yeah, I think it's 80% or 70% of the fleet of ATBs out there have been built and constructed or designed through OCTB. So they're definitely, and they focus only on tug and barge systems and constructions and repairs as well. So they're definitely the competition in regards to ATBs.
This is a chart that just kind of points out some of the sales since in recent history for both Signal and VTHM. Since 2004, they've built about 16 articulated tug and barges, most of them going to, I believe it was Crowley, and the remaining going to Pritchard. Signal has already kind of gained a foothold, and they've only been producing since 2011. So right now, the market doesn't appear to be as large as it could. But like I said before, as some of these companies are going to be required to replace older vessels, there's definitely going to be an increase in consumer purchasing for ATBs and demand for more production. As far as prices go, the current rate for your average ATB is about $47.5 million. If you want to incorporate technology that doesn't exist yet, such as Signal is doing with the dredge barge, that's running for about $97 million. But
and is that for the tug and the barge?
Correct. And when they provide, when they go into contract, they provide the option to purchase an additional barge complement if they so choose to at a set rate. And the trend has been every company that's been given the opportunity to exercise that option has gone for it. So
No, it seems rather odd not to, right? Otherwise, you might as well just buy a ship.
exactly, and it would be more expensive later to come back and say, we just want one barge and no tug system to go with it. But this also points out another venue for increasing sales is providing other options than just simple barges, maybe that incorporate technologies serving other sectors of the business to, and add-on packages that might be appealing to the customer.
This is our positioning statement. So companies looking into becoming the leaders in the modernizing shipping industry. ATVs built by VT Halter Marine deliver an economically efficient, environmentally sound, and technologically advanced vessel. Only VT Halter Marine is the prominent shipbuilder surrounded by dependable engineers and naval architects to complete the job to the satisfaction of their customers. So moving into our SWOT analysis, our strengths in the internal would be we produce a wide range of vessels, especially primarily for Jones Act service, which will be in the U.S. We are specializing in ship designing and construction. We're one of the best builders and designers in the country. And we're integrating modern technology and the most forefront of engineering, and we build off of past projects to incorporate into the newer projects.
Stop for 1 second. Go back to your positioning statement. Okay, and then go to your strengths. Go forward to your strengths. Okay. Part of it is you don't have the order right. You should do the SWOT analysis before the position.
Yeah.
But your positioning statement should, in a large part, reflect your strengths, right? So when you talk about, why are the reasons that VT Halter should be your ATB builder of choice? Well, we have experience producing a wide range of vessels. We do construction start to finish on our own production sites. Right? Because only VT Halter is the company that produces a wide range of vessels. Right? All of that stuff is there, but none of it's in your positioning statement. And this is all your reason to believe, your unique selling proposition. It's all right there. Okay? All right, so keep going. I'm sorry.
Some of the weaknesses include the location. They are primarily operated out of central United States, limits them to the major industrial coastlines, big cities where the customers are primarily at. So it presents a slight challenge, but it is an international business, and they do have other facilities around the world. So the wide production range, they don't focus on ATVs. That might not be something that the customer finds appealing, such as customers like Kirby, who obviously chose to go with someone who's never even produced anything in the industry yet. So, and it also operates under a national security program. It's a foreign-owned company, primarily based out of Indonesia, and it requires all the American employees to maintain security clearances, so the actual owners of the company don't have the total involvement that you might expect with any other organization producing ships within the United States.
Yep.
So there could be a potential lack of communication or degradation of quality, I guess, from an oversight management perspective.
Okay. Just a couple points on this slide too. I apologize. When you're showing the weaknesses, when you say location, it doesn't immediately explain what the weakness is. So just say, limited location or location limited to something. Explain a little bit what that weakness is in a few words. Wide product range doesn't sound like a weakness when you say it. So it's a lack of focus on ATBs. Express it as a weakness. Okay, so that's fine. But that's something that you guys should think about too. Is that express a strength as a strength, express a weakness as a weakness.
Opportunities. There's a growing demand for ATB production right now. There's definitely a larger interest if you go online or you look at magazines. They're a frequent topic of discussion, and the industry is only going to stretch out and become more prominent. There's a lot of companies out there that are primarily operating push barges, and as those fleets no longer service their customers, they'll definitely start switching to ATVs. And
so it's an aged fleet. That's the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word when you mothball ships or scrap? Yeah, you got a high scrappage rate. So you've got a lot of aged product that's about to get scrapped, all of which provides new opportunities for ATBs because
or just for these companies that don't have the ATVs yet, but they do have the aging fleet. They can retrofit. They've already done constructions where they retrofit a notch into the barge and then have either retrofit their tug or just build a new tug for them. So the possibilities of upgrading these current companies who do want to catch up with the change.
Yeah. Okay. So again, express it as an opportunity. So instead of ineffective push barge companies, express that as an opportunity.
again, specialized competitors.
I like the visuals, by the way.
Specialized competitors are like, you know, the production of this new dredge barge. If they corner a foothold on that sector of the market and become known as a company that's capable of outfitting ATVs to specific needs, they might tend to go with them more than us. So we need to expand our capabilities of production to reflect our actual engineering promise that's associated with the country or the company, and kind of start expanding into other areas besides oil and crude oil shipping.
Should also mention that one of the executives coming is a specialist in American Jones Act shipping.
Keep that one in mind. Still doing a little work at the end of these slides.
Okay.
But
We're trying to consolidate the information because a lot of it overlaps, and we just
Mhm.
want to get it to where we're not redundantly talking about it, because
Yeah.
that's happening.
Okay, you got a real thorough, I think your guys is mostly editing, organizing it a little bit better and editing it down a little bit, but you've got most of the background and the material and the content seems to be in pretty good shape.
I'll just make a couple of comments, and I know it's getting a little late, and let everybody go. Just use "we" as you're talking about it. Remember, you're presenting as if you're the marketing manager. I thought you did a nice job with the background and the upfront. We talked a little bit about some of the just the language and the strengths and weaknesses, but I think you have the concept pretty well down. Get a little bit more of your strengths as part of the reason to believe and the unique selling proposition into your positioning statement, and make sure the positioning statement comes. It should go SWOT analysis, positioning statement, and then strategy. All right, so just go back and follow the order that I gave you, and you'll see it just each part sets up the next part if you do it right. I really liked your visuals. I thought there was a lot of them, and they were varied, and some of them were kind of humorous. But anything more, you can just keep doing that same thing. Add a little bit more if you can. I think I explained the macro environment wasn't really the macro environment. And I'm going to see, just so you know, I believe that Crowley is a domer. Like the guy who started it, Mr. Crowley, is an alum. So I just thought you ought to know that. He's not coming, don't worry. But I just thought I'd mention that. But in general, I think you guys are in pretty good shape. All right, so let me just a couple of quick housekeeping notes, and I'll let everybody go. Thanks for your patience. I know sometimes it's a little difficult to hold your attention, but I hope you do feel that you're getting some benefit out of seeing everybody else's presentations and some of the commentary and dialogue that comes up along with it. Those of you who presented off of my laptop, if you didn't copy the document onto my hard drive, and you want me to provide more direct commentary, make sure I have it. Give it to me before you leave. I'll put it on my hard drive so that I'll have it. I'll look at it over the next few days. If there's anything else you want to send me, newer version, updated version, please do. I cannot promise you that I will get back to you, instantly, but I'll do my best. Again, try to come a little early next week. Bring your presentations on the hard drive. I strongly recommend that you dress for success, look the part. Evaluations. I also will have you do teacher evaluations, and what I think we'll probably do is I will hand them out in between one of the breaks between the teams or something like that. And I would appreciate, I'm not going to go into a lengthy discussion next week about it, but I would appreciate feedback. Last year, I got pretty good feedback, but it was pretty general, like, oh, it was a great class. Well, I want to get better.
just like I give you commentary on how to be a better presenter or how to be a better marketer, et cetera, I would like feedback on how to be a better teacher. Do a SWOT analysis of me. How about that? You know, they'll ask you a bunch of questions, but then there's some general sections. So a SWOT analysis would be very helpful for me to improve, because I've made, I'd say maybe 50% of this class I did differently than last semester. And I'm trying to improve it, change it. I want to know what was interesting, what was boring, what you found useful, what you didn't find useful. Was there something I didn't explain well enough? Did I spend too much time on one topic and not enough on another? Did you like the textbook? Anything like that, I want more feedback. So I won't say it next week. We'll just hand it out and do it when you do it. But I wanted to make that point tonight that I really do want some good feedback. So thank you very much. Good luck next week. Don't get too nervous. It shouldn't be that hard. And don't forget to give me your presentations. Huh?
White's next week?
If you want. I think.
I'm saying we're gonna have people in here watch us, right?
Yeah.
We'll,
Yeah. We had guys wearing blues last time. I don't know what the protocol is for blues and whites.
Summertime then.
Okay.
Definitely made a much bigger improvement last semester.
Thank you.
Learned a lot.
Thank you.
See that?
Well, you missed half the last semester. So.
Yeah, it was. No, but I'm saying even from the beginning to.
Huh?
It's your fault.
The claw again. He's giving me the claw.
That book was so fun.
So, no, it was a good book.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of
There's
it.
a lot of good. The body language I learned. I was trying to practice at this. I know sometimes I do this, just lounging. Then I'll go like this. I was head here and.
Oh, he's got real stuff. You got real stuff.
Oh yeah, the final.
Yeah.
I know you told me this confidently, but I talked to my professor told us that the finals would be Thursday night. It's an in-class final like the last week, so I don't necessarily have a confidence in taking that final like the finals week. But I do have cruise that Sunday. Like I have to be back here, and I'm from Virginia, so I have to go home, pack. I have some family things I have to take care of, and then I leave back up here on Sunday. So like leaving Thursday only gives me like 2 days to do that, where my last final is Tuesday if I can move my Thursday final. So I was wondering if we
All
could
right.
just
So
kind of
what's
table.
the specific ask?
If I could just under the table go around them, and then you and I maybe meet on either Monday or Tuesday and take the final. I have like pretty much all day Monday. I have a final at 8:30, but it shouldn't take no more than an hour. So I pretty much have all day Monday, and then
But you say you said you had a final anyway on Thursday. You're saying that final is going to be
it's
delivered the
gonna
week
be
before.
Yeah, he moved it to as an in-class final the last week of classes instead of finals.
All right, so when would you want to take the final?
Preferably Monday afternoon, or evening, any time after pretty much 10 o'clock.
Would you be? I'm just asking the question. Would you be willing to do it next week?
I could probably do it next week.
Because then what I would suggest is, because I only come in 1 day a week usually, so it's a big pain in the ass to come
I
in.
understand.
And I'm not sure I'm going to have the time early that week to do it. But since I'm coming in for the class anyway, next week, I could just come in a couple hours early.
Yeah, I have a class that ends, my tanker class ends at 4:50 next week. But right after that, I could go grab dinner and then probably.
Doesn't give you a heck of a lot of time, but
Yeah.
what we could do then is maybe allow you to continue to take the test as the presentations are starting.
Mhm.
We just have you, do it out there or something like that. Can you do me a favor, just send me a quick note
Mhm.
that explains what you want to do. Don't call
Yeah.
Danielle, and we'll just handle it.
Okay.
But I don't know, but Courtney and, was it, somebody else had the same conflict. So are they going to have the same situation that they don't actually have the conflict? It's going to be the in-class final?
I don't know about. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that.
All right, so just shoot me a note, explain it, and the only downside to that is that it's gonna be a little bit shorter time to study, obviously, and maybe a little bit shorter time to take the test, or at least without distractions, but
It's not gonna be
I don't
super
think,
hard.
yeah, I think I can get, I have all this whole weekend free to study and stuff, so.
Okay.
And that was the stuff to study, I took pictures of it and whatnot, so I'll
Great.
just go over the
All
slides.
right, so again,
and-
send me a note, and I think we'll be able to handle it
All
that
right,
way.
thank you very
Good
much,
luck.
Professor. Yeah.
You're welcome. So, I can really sympathize with your friend, because I've had 4 bone grafts in my jaw, with stuff like that. I know how painful it can
Yeah.
be.
Because yesterday I was in Long Island and we didn't sleep till like 6 in the morning. We were doing the project and he came here. We've been in M1 class and then he couldn't stand because it was terrible for him.
Is he going to have surgery, or?
Probably something like I don't know how is it called, but
A root canal, or?
yes,
Yeah.
something like a root canal. I think he's gonna get an operation about the root canal or something.
Okay. Well, if it's a root canal, I've had a few of those done. Root canals, the pain is not, the pain of the operation is not as bad as the pain of not having the operation.
Yes.
But if if it doesn't appear that he's going to be able to present because he's got, or whatever, that's okay. I understand, and you can decide whether you want to present on your own, which is okay, or whether you want to do a separate presentation later. Now, are you guys going back to Turkey for the summer, or?
I'll probably go back, or if I find an internship, I'll stay. I don't know yet, but I have a ticket though.
Okay. When would you go back?
5th of May.
Okay. So maybe, one possibility is, if he's not up to it, is that we could have you present the same day as the final. If you come in a little bit early, it won't be in front of the VIP panel, but that's okay. You could do the presentation then. And again, you don't actually have to do the presentation, but you get a half a grade upgrade just for doing it. So
I think he's gonna be okay on next Tuesday, and he's gonna be here. I'm gonna be here, and I will present it.
okay.
Can I send you the outline or our presentation to you on Thursday or
Sure.
Friday?
Yeah.
So you can make some comments on it.
Yep. No problem.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope he
Good
feels
night.
better, and good luck. And again, if
Thank
you know,
you.
if you want to, if you decide you want to send me something earlier, or even if it's half complete and you just want feedback, that's okay.
Right.
But if it's not if the presentation isn't even in enough of a condition that I can give feedback, then then it is what it is.
All right.